thank you for being here so early. You stayed up so late. Well, anyway, this is just a generic Q&A. My name is Alexis Tipton. I'm a voice actress for Funimation Entertainment based here in Dallas. Oh my gosh, it feels so good to say that. I've been to all these other conventions and I'm like, Dallas, Texas, and now I can actually say based here because that's where we are. If you guys aren't familiar with some of the things that I've been a part of, I'm Ms. Moka and Rosario Vampire, Seto and My Bride is a Mermaid, Liliana and Fairy Tale, Kumajiro / Chibi Japan and Natalia. What else? Yeah, Musubi and Sekirei. Oh yeah, Julie Crichton, Full Metal Alchemist, Sacred Star of Milos, Mizuki Himeji, Baka and Test, all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, so this is, like I said, this is just a very generic Q&A. I'm still waking up, so if I don't articulate very well, I apologize. So you supply the Q and I supply the A. Does anybody have any questions?
There are bombs. I was wondering what your favorite bomb for someone who was, and then vice versa, their favorite bomb who was someone else.
Oh my goodness. She was, for anyone that might not have heard, she's asking about bombs, which this question has been coming up at like every single convention this year, and last year no one knew what that was. It's so funny. I'm like, someone's been doing some so a bomb, when we record in the booth, we record by ourselves, unless we're doing something called WALA, which stands for with all actors, and that's usually maybe 3 or 4 actors, and we all get together and we record background chatter for like village scenes and things like that, faceless chatter, so there's no flip-flaps to match. But other than that, we record solo for everything else. So when you're in the booth, you, depending on when you come in to record, you could either be talking completely to yourself, because no one else has come in and recorded, or you might have someone else to bounce off of, and that particular actor has come in to record before you have, and you happen to be on the same episode. But if you are one of the fortunate people that gets to go in before everybody else, you can leave what are called bombs for people, which are where you make up random lines and substitute them in for what is actually supposed to be there. I mean, you record the line that you're supposed to get, of course, obviously, at the same time, but then what the director will do is they will save that bomb and play it for the actor that it's intended for, and will not warn them. And the problem with answering your question is that 99% of the bombs we leave are extremely inappropriate. And this is a family convention, and this is a PG-13 panel. I'm not very good at leaving bombs. I'm usually not that clever or that quick, but I've had a lot of bombs left for me. Josh really leaves me bombs all the time, because he and I are like brother and sister, just go back and forth. Let's see. Actually, I think probably the show that I got the most bombs in was Hero Tales, for those of you that have seen Hero Tales. Because me and Colleen were like the only female leads in that show, so it was all these other like male characters. And of course, you know, when you get guys in the booth, they're gonna leave bombs way more often than girls do, because they're a bunch of pranksters. Yeah, so I don't know if I can actually say any of the bombs that I was ever left, because they're all horribly inappropriate. And it doesn't take much to make me laugh, so I don't know why they feel the need to make them so vulgar. Usually it ends with me laughing for 5 minutes and then we waste time. But one of the bombs, let's see, one of the bombs that I left that I can talk about was for Todd Habercorn in Rosario Vampire. And he's really, really hard to make laugh, like, because he's so focused that if you can make him laugh or like trip him up, it's a big deal. He's usually like, even when he hears a bomb, he's just like so, you know, like tunnel vision, and he just doesn't even pick up on it. He's like, oh, that was a bomb, that's not what was in the script, oh, okay. But when we were recording Rosario Vampire, there's this scene, I think it's like a little fantasy that Tsukune is having, I don't think it's actually happening, but they're both riding on bicycles, like right next to each other, like through a field of flowers, and there's sparkles and shoujo bubbles, and everything's happy and wonderful. And I forget, he says something to her, it's like a fantasy about him confessing to her or something like that, and so he says like something really nice to her, and as they're riding these bicycles side by side, she reacts to what he says and like jumps off her bike and like clomps him like in the middle of riding down the street, and they tumble into a field of flowers. Well, I can't remember, I think it's like oh, it's good, thank you, or something like that, but instead I like, oh my god, Todd Habercorn, I'm your biggest fan! And like jumped off the bike like a giant, because like there's really no mouth movement, so we could kind of do whatever we wanted. And so it's like, I'm your biggest fan! And she like clomps him and they roll off into this field of flowers. It was great. And he had just come back from a convention, so of course he had that all weekend. And he was like, oh my god. And then he found me later, he's like, so you're my biggest fan, huh? No, oh god. So is she doing? She's like humming or something, like while she's cooking, but it doesn't show her mouth. So we're like, no, let's take things on the way to the other. She's like cooking Rocky. Yeah, it's like silly stuff like that. Or, oh no, there was another one in Baka and Test where she's like falling down a pit or something, and he like grabs her hand to try to save her, and then he falls, and someone has to catch her. She goes, I went, you suck at this! You suck at saving me! Yeah, but just silly stuff like that. But it's even better if you can get the line to fit the flaps perfectly. It doesn't always happen, but it's even better. But yeah, 99% of the time. Yeah.
Was it challenging switching back and forth between two movies?
Oh, actually no, because I did not voice both of the mangas. My job was easy. In the Japanese version, Mizuki voices both inner mocha and outer mocha, but in the English version, I believe it was director preference. He wanted to cast two completely separate people because he wanted them to sound completely different, like no trace of the same person in either one. So I voiced outer mocha, which is prepared mocha, and then Polly Blinkenbeard voiced inner mocha. Yeah, she and I, like, it doesn't get more different than our voices. Like, her voices, she's very, very good at, like, low, commanding voices, and I'm better at higher pitch voices. Yeah, no, but I wish I could take credit for that, but it was awesome, but no, that was definitely well, she's married now. I can't say Miss Blinkenbeard anymore, but yeah, that was quality. So. That's my friend, everybody. Look at her, make her feel uncomfortable. Yeah.
What's the funniest thing that's happened to you in the booth, and also, are you doing anything like that?
What is the funniest thing that's happened to me in the booth? Well, considering whenever we go into record, it doesn't even matter if it's like a super dramatic show. Everybody's so fun to work with at Funimation, the directors, the engineers, and we have such a good time with everything we work on that regardless of what kind of show it is, I usually leave the studio feeling sore because I've been laughing so much. Just because it's so much fun. But I think, let's see, the funniest thing that's happened. I still don't know why this is. I've been working for Funimation for 5 years and I still don't understand this. We have a mannequin in Funimation, and one of the engineers put a zombie mask on it. And it's this whole, like, not a cheesy zombie mask, like, it's horrifying. Like, if you find that thing, and I love horror movies, and every time I see it, I'm like, it's horrible. It's like a human face and it looks like their jaw has been, like, detached, and there's, like, blood coming out of it, and it's really well made. I mean, props to whoever made it. But they put that mask on this mannequin, and they like to stick that mannequin in the boobs, and they don't tell us. So then you, like, open the door and turn on the lights, and there's this, like, life-size mannequin zombie. You're like, oh my god, his name's Manny. Everyone calls him Manny. And it's a mannequin that you still talk to. You're like, God, Manny, stop! Like, totally put himself there. But that was funny. They did that to me one time. I walked in on, like, I was the first person at 10 o'clock in the morning, and the director wasn't there yet, so I go into our booth, and I'm turning on all the lights, and I open the door, and there's this 5'11" zombie mannequin standing there in the dark. Let's see. I don't think of anything else. I think we got bored one day, and I still have this recording somewhere. They gave me the recording. We got bored. I think it was when we were recording Rosario Vampire, actually. We were taking a break, and we found this website that was like Minecraft, but like on acid. And it was this forum of like all these people that were playing this. It wasn't Minecraft, it was something else. But then there were like people writing these posts that I guess were supposed to be like RP type posts, but it was like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. There was some paragraph about some guy like talking about how he took in like a stray cat, and then the cat ended up biting his leg off or something. Like, it was ridiculous. So we just recorded me reading those posts in like ridiculous voices. So yeah, I don't want to Funimation too much for kids, but there's not a day that I can record there that I don't laugh at something. So I don't know if I can think of the funniest thing that's happened because I laugh so much. But yeah. And then your other question was in regards to the live action. Yeah. Do you mean film or do you mean live action dubs? Film. I've actually been I've been studying film for the past year and a half. I'm with a Dallas-based company called Dallas. And actually yesterday I got home at 5:30 in the morning after being on a 12-hour commercial shoot. So I don't do film as much just because I'm so new to it. I'm still kind of paying my dues and getting into it. But I've done commercials, actually I think commercials are the only film, like official film projects I've been a part of. I study with a man that is a Hollywood acting coach that comes to Dallas 4 times a year, study with him. He has like intensive workshops that are really awesome. And then Class Act Dallas is a weekly workshop that I go to. We film projects and like put them on like Funny or Die or YouTube or things like that. But yeah, so the film it's kind of been my dream for a really, really long time. Not kind of, it has been my dream for a very long time. The film, it requires such odd hours and it requires you to drop so much at the theater, to drop everything at the drop of a hat, that I didn't think I could balance it with school, and it was really important to me to finish college first. So the second I finished college, I was like, all right, I'm going to throw myself at this. And I've been doing it ever since I graduated from college, and I've loved every minute of it. It's very challenging, very different, especially for me since I came from a theater background, and then doing voice, which are both much bigger than film. So I had a lot of habits that I needed to break in order to transition into film. But it's been really fun. So hopefully I'll get to do more projects and get to do more. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No. No, you have thrown off the island. Go ahead. Say again, sorry.
How do you find like voiceover work without an agent?
Well, I have an agent now. I've had an agent for the past 2 years, but as I mentioned, I've been with Funimation for 5, and I did not have an agent when I first started working for Funimation. I got an agent because I wanted to pursue more work outside of Funimation and to do more film and other kinds of voice work, because anime is a very, very small part of the voice acting industry. It is the most challenging, but it is also it is the smallest part. There's book on tape, there's radio, there's voiceover for film commercials, there's narration, there's all kinds for video for film, movies, things like that. So definitely, if you're looking to get into voice work, don't pigeonhole yourself, because it is such a small part of voice acting. It's even more competitive. But with Funimation, all I did was I did some research on what was expected of me in order to be considered for an audition, which they asked that you submit an acting resume, and then they also asked that you submit a character demo, which is basically just a recording of you talking in as many character voices as you can think of. They would usually standard industry practices say that you don't want to make it any more than 2 minutes long. Ideally, you should make it 1.5 minutes, because if it's any longer than 2 minutes, they're not even going to listen to it. And then usually, and of course I'm just speaking for Funimation, other studios may be different. But at Funimation, usually what ends up happening is that you have to mail this in. They won't accept electronic submissions. And they'll kind of review your stuff, they'll pass it around to the directors, and then they'll kind of decide if they're going to call you immediately or if they'll put you on a waiting list. And then that also kind of depends on how many shows do we have coming in, how many people from the waiting list are being called in to audition for those shows, how big is the cast, so I was lucky when I submitted, I got called in within 2 weeks, but sometimes it can take years, depending on how much acting experience you have. I'll let you know a little secret. If you have acting experience, it's my understanding that you kind of get pushed to the front of the line. Everybody that's on the waiting list is on the waiting list because they don't have acting experience. So, big deal. Be an actor first. It's very, very, very important. Yeah, so, yeah, answers the question, yeah. How do you get an agent? Well, first of all, with anything, research is a great thing to do first. Research the agents that are available to you in your area. You can just go online and look up, I assume you're local. Do you live here in Dallas, or do you live in? But you're in the Metroplex. You're not from Oklahoma or something, right? Okay. Yeah, just Google the agencies that are available in your area, and the agencies do not have to be super local. I'm with Thorn Agency, and Thorn Agency is based in Dallas proper, and I live in Flower Mound, which is 45 minutes away. So you're not going to be going in to see your agent like you would a normal day job. You'll speak to them probably rarely see them. So you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, I have to go see my agent today. Oh, I better choose an agent that I can commute to every day. You don't need to worry about that. Because they love email and they love the phone. So it's okay. Definitely research. I know that depending on what kind of acting work you're wanting to get into, that can also depend on the kind of agent that you go for. I believe it's Kim Dawson is an agency here in the Metroplex, and she's good. She's a good agent, but she specializes more in modeling. So if you're looking to do something outside of modeling, she may not be the best agent for you to pursue. Because she's going to put more of her focus on her models and maybe less on her actors. Another thing to take into consideration is, like horn agency, for example, well, I think all agencies behave this way. There's a certain number of people that they will represent at one time. So you can either inquire, you know, are you currently looking, you can email them, or you can currently ask them, are you currently looking to fill spots or talent spots? Or you can just go ahead and submit and see what they say. Are you looking to get into voiceover or film? Or okay. Well, singing would probably fall under voiceover, because like Stephanie Young, who's here this weekend as well, she and I are actually the same agent, and she sings with a band called Brems, and it's my understanding that our same agent books all of her musical gigs as well. So yeah, singing's probably not going to be its own thing. It'll probably fall under the realm of voiceover or whatever. Another thing is, I don't know if all agencies in this area represent for voice work and film, so that's another thing to kind of research. Will it represent you for everything that you're interested in being a part of? Some agencies are only film, or some agencies are only voiceover. And then usually what they'll usually have instructions on their website, you know, what they're asking of you to be considered for representation. So usually if it's a resume, a headshot, if you're under 18, parental consent, things like that. And then if they're interested, they like your look, they'll call you in for an interview, and then you'll just kind of go from there. So, yeah, of course. Sorry, that's a very long answer to your question. I talk a lot, I'm sorry. Wow, that's a good question. She asked, am I a believer that what I'm wearing in the booth, even when people can't see me, does that affect how I act? I think so. It's kind of like today, for example, I realize I'm not in the booth, but you know, I mean, sometimes when I go to conventions, I dress up in like, you know, graphic t-shirt, jeans, flip-flops, whatever, but you know, I like putting on nice clothes. It makes me feel good. It makes me, and I do, and it's the same for men and women. I think it changes how you carry yourself. I think it kind of changes how people perceive you. And so when I'm in the booth, I mean, I wear clothes that make me feel good about myself. I wear clothes that I think are cute, or that I think are, you know, and I notice that sometimes, even if I'm just going to work to record and no one's going to see me, and you know, no one at Funimation cares, it's whatever. Everyone's very casual at Funimation, but it's, you know, sometimes I notice, and the same thing with just in life in general, if I'm having a bad day or something and I put on clothes and I'm like, that just sort of like solidifies my bad day. You know, if I put on a little makeup and I just have on like, you know, clothes that don't fit me, and I'm just like, oh, whatever, you know, it reflects that I'm having a bad day. It kind of advertises, hey everybody, I'm having a bad day. And, you know, there is something to be said for being comfortable. I do enjoy being comfortable, but at the same time, like I said, it just kind of, at least for me personally, it just kind of keeps me in that funk instead of, you know, if I'm having a bad day, that's all the more reason to put on something that makes me feel better. Because then I'm like, I'm having a bad day, but at least I look good, or something like that. My mom calls it putting on your armor. It's like if you're having a bad day, all the more reason to like dress up, because it'll make you feel better, and it'll change how you interact with people, it'll change how you carry yourself. And I've never consciously made a decision to wear something like based on a character I was reporting for, but it's usually like, oh man, I'm having a bad day. I better put on something cute so I won't have a bad day anymore. That kind of thing. So yeah, a good question. Yeah. How did I feel when I got the role of Julia Crichton? I was really excited. I had done some bit parts in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and it just, I mean, I think I was like, you know, Zombie Face 4 and Giant Monster in episode 27, or like, you know. So I have the credit of being in those shows, but like no character with a face or no name when I was able to be, actually a part of the FMA family, for lack of a better term, it was really, really exciting. And it was one of those things where we had auditions for the movie because there was, of course, Vic reprised his role as Ed, and then Max and Whitehead, so everyone that already had a character, of course, didn't have to audition. We didn't have auditions for those characters, but all of the new characters that came in for Sacred Star of Milos, of course, had to be auditioned. And Julie Crichton was one of two females that they were auditioning for, because they only auditioned for lead roles where we have auditions, and then everything else is just kind of, the director just casts it. So there was a lot of competition because I believe it's Miranda is the other woman. I knew that she was not in my range, and so I'm like, I'm not even gonna, no, I'm not even gonna try for that one. So there was a lot of competition because there were just these two women, and I could only audition for one of them, and a lot of other voice actors were in the same boat. So I'm like, oh gosh, there's all of these people like going after this one part, and so it was really exciting when I got to be a part of it, and I was just so happy. It was a really fun movie, and then the fact that there was like a limited theatrical release was really cool too. And they had this red carpet Los Angeles premiere, which I wasn't able to go to, it was really bummed, but they had a showing in Dallas the very same night. And so me and like 15 of my friends, like all got together, like some of my family came, and like we all went out for dinner, and then we all like went to this theater and like took up like 2 rows, and it was great. It was so cool to see this on a big screen and to have all these people that I love supporting me. It was just awesome. Like one of my favorite nights. Oh, cool! Yay! Which theater did you go to? Was it Grapevine? Okay, because we had tried to go to Grapevine, and then I think they were only showing the sub, and so we were like, no. And so last minute, we found out that there was, I think it was the Inwood Theater in Dallas was showing it, and so like last minute, we're like, everyone go to the Inwood! Oh my gosh! So it was great. But... yeah. Oh no! Oh man, you drove all the way there, and then, oh my god, bless your heart. Well, thanks for not giving up and still seeing it. Yes! Yay! Yeah. American animation? No, and I want to really bad. I think it's really fun. The closest thing to American animation that I've done is I've done a couple of American-made video games. Like I was in Borderlands 2 and the Gunstringer, and something else. And those were American made, which is awesome because then you don't have to match character movements. You just record and then they take care of the rest. Yeah, so far no American animation, unfortunately. Most of that stuff's done in California, and then that gets kind of complicated because Texas is a right-to-work state, which means I don't have to be part of a union in order to act, and then in California you do have to be part of a union. So, maybe eventually. It's a lot of work to be a part of a union. I have a guilty pleasure TV show. Unfortunately, my whole thing is that I like watching TV, but I'm always afraid to get started on a series because I don't have time to watch it. And then even if I DVR it, it just gets back to, like, I was watching Hannibal there for a while, and it was really good, really, really gory, but really good. That was awesome, but then I'm like 6 episodes behind, so I have no idea what's going on now. I really love Big Bang Theory, because that's a good show that you can just jump in the middle of, and you don't, as long as you kind of know the basic relationships, you don't have to see it, in order. And even after you watch it, like one episode, you kind of get an idea of who's who and like what they're doing, so I don't have to be like, okay, I'm coming in 10 episodes in, what's going on? Like Big Bang Theory, I don't have to think, I just laugh. Which is always good. I really want to get into Game of Thrones. I understand that it's on Netflix now, is that correct? Next, okay. Right, it's like a mini series. Do they have it for streaming on Netflix? Or is it buy new digital movies Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh, no, this is off topic. I was in Kansas City a couple weeks ago, and they still have Blockbusters. And it freaked me out. Like, they were taking us to the airport, and we still heard us at the airport, to the hotel. I'm like, you guys still have Blockbusters? And they're like, yeah, don't you? Oh, there is? Gosh. I know. They're rare creatures. No, there was one, like, 5 minutes from where I live, and it went out. It was the first one that I noticed going out, obviously, because it was so close. But then it came back in for a while, and then it left again. I don't understand. Like, I know, I'm like, I can stay, no. Whatever. Yeah. When Funimation can update their video player?
Yeah,
do you mean like to incorporate region codes, or do you?
No, just where that works.
Oh.
It's just something.
On the website, or?
No, that's Funimation.
Oh,
They've been
gosh.
talking about doing that forever.
I'll have to ask somebody about that. I don't know. That's not my department. I can talk to you. I mean, I can talk to you about like marketing-oriented stuff, but no digital. You know, all the little computer guys that handle IT guys. There we go. I have no idea. I didn't realize it wasn't working.
Well, it works most of the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, anytime I watch Funimation stuff, it's usually on YouTube, so I haven't like experienced that. I'm sorry, I voiced that concern for you. I'll be like, hey, you guys are starting to get called out on it. It comes now. It's time to do something about it. Because that's not good. We need to fix that. It's not a very good statement on their website. Yeah. It's like people are trying to watch your stuff, you're just not letting them. So I will definitely, I'm in the studio next week, so I will definitely say something to somebody. Who do I talk to? There was a very angry man. He was flipping tables and yelling at me, and it was horrible. What's your name? I'll give him your name. I'm just kidding. Dave was really mean. Say that. You don't know that guy, but you should. He's coming up to the studio there.
Or say that.
Right. But you know, once I'm out of like the realm, I'll actually say yeah. Someone else have their hand up? Oh, yeah. Am I going to change any of the voices of the characters that I've done? Probably not, because I was cast as those characters because the director said so. You know? So I mean, I figure like if I was cast as those characters, like they thought that what I was doing was the best choice. And so obviously I'm gonna go with whatever it is my director. I mean, obviously, like there's some times where I played characters where I wish I could have said a line differently, or I wish I could have, you know, done something different in terms of the line read. But in terms of the voice, like I said, I mean, somebody else made that call. Like I just went into the audition and started talking in a voice that I thought sounded like it would match the character, and then it was the director that said, yes, I like that voice, come in and be that character. So, you know, I just dance monkey dance for the director. No, oh God, no. Honestly, I'm happy to be at work. Like, yeah, exactly. Honestly, no, without the directors at Funimation, like nothing would happen. Like, because when we record, everything that we do is kind of taken out of context because we only see the part of the show that we record, that our characters have a line in. And so a lot of things may not make sense because we're not sitting there watching the entire show from beginning to end. Which is why it's always exciting, like when box sets and stuff come out, because then I can go back and watch it and be like, that's what was going on. Awesome. Or that's what that character sounds like. I was the first person to record, so I didn't get to hear anybody, or things like that. And even if there's a part where my character was present but they didn't say anything, well then that means I didn't see that scene. So the director has to kind of fill in all the gaps and explain, okay, the reason that you're crying your eyes out in this scene is because you just saw this happen a couple scenes ago. Okay, well thanks for telling me that because I didn't see that. So that makes so much more sense. Or, in this scene, so-and-so has just died, and so even though your character didn't see that happen, you just need to know because there has to be this sort of somber atmosphere to what's going on. You know, so without the director, because the director watches the show from beginning to end before they even cast the show. So they know exactly what they're looking for. They have a very definite vision, and then they also know everything of what's happened, so they can kind of fill you in and guide you along. So without the director, we would have no idea what we're doing. We could read the lines, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to be right because we don't know what's going on. So yeah. But yeah, so now, I mean, and there have definitely been the times where I wish I could produce a different voice in order to like audition for other characters, but you know, maybe eventually, maybe I'll train my voice to be able to do certain things that I wish I could do. But yeah, just gotta trust the director. Do you have to get it?
Yeah. You heard about another called Enroll?
They'll call it Enroll? Enroll. I've heard of that. Was it in theaters recently? Is it still theaters? Okay. I've not seen it. I know, actually, I think Terry Doty saw it recently and she was gushing about it. So, is it good?
I haven't seen it either.
Well, I saw the title and at first I was like, do they mean At World's End? Like, Pirates of the Caribbean? No. No, I'm so behind. There's a couple of movies I still need to see. The last thing I saw was World War Z, and that was, you know, run by zombies. I'm glad I saw it, but whatever. Oh, no, actually, no. The latest movie I saw was The Conjuring. That's what I saw. And that was go see The Conjuring. I'll pop in for a second. Yeah, I love horror movies. I'm a huge horror movie buff, so it takes because of that, I'm kind of desensitized to a lot of things. So everyone's like, it's the scariest movie in like 10 years. And I'm like, this is good. I'm not scared. It's been a long time since I've taken, like, what I call taking a movie home with me. Where I'm like, oh, yeah, that was really good. And then I get home and I'm alone and it's dark. And I'm like, oh, it was really scary. Oh, no. Because, you know, when you're scared of something and you go and you see a scary movie, of course, because you're scared of it, that monster is going to manifest itself in your space. That's just how it works. And then, you know, when you turn off the lights, you have to run to your bed and jump on your bed so the monster in your bed doesn't grab your ankle. Because, you know, we all know this. I know. No. I'm 24 and I still have moments where I'm like, Mom, jump to bed. What am I doing? God, I gotta close my closet door because there might be something in there. Like, I can't sleep with my closet door open. So stupid.
We had to do that our hotel last night.
Oh, really?
I got up to do something. She was already in bed and it's dark, and for some reason she slept in the closet door open. And I was walking past it and I was trying to close it, and for some reason the safe is into this closet.
Oh, yeah.
Too. So I smacked the door of the safe, and I was like,
Oh, no.
I was like, what are you doing?
Scaring myself. I'm doing a good job.
Oh my God, it's freaking me out.
No, I was at a convention last weekend. It was the same one in Kansas City. Or no, not Kansas City. That was 2 weeks ago. I was in Wisconsin last week. And I think there was a ghost in my hotel room. It was really scary. And I was like, oh no. It's going to be a good con. There's a ghost right in my hotel room. Yeah.
What did you do to prepare for going back in high school or music college?
I mentioned earlier, I came from a theater background. I've been doing theater since I was like in 3rd grade. Yeah, a lot of theater. Kind of, usually during the summer, I would do community theater, and then in school, I would do school theater. But I had all this theater experience, and it was just, acting was just a hobby for the longest time. Like, I know I loved it, but I didn't think it was possible to really pursue any kind of acting professionally. When I started working for Funimation, back in 2008, I had all this theater experience, but I had absolutely no voiceover experience. But the good thing about, I always tell people that want to get into voice acting though that aren't sure, you know, oh, how do I train for that? How do I start? Like, what kind of acting should I start with? Because it's really difficult to just go out and find a voiceover class. But in theater, because theater is so big and so projected, and there's so many different kinds of characters you can play, it's this great playground to experiment with voice. There are so many characters that you can incorporate fun voices with, you know, or if you're playing, if you're older but you're playing a child, you can do a child voice, or if you're doing a fantasy play with, you know, fantastical elements, or you're playing some sort of animal, like you can experiment it too. And so it's this great training ground to figure out what you can do locally and also teach you acting, how to work with a director, how to take direction, things like how to tell a story, how to make informed character decisions, how to analyze a script, cold reading. Because cold reading, everything that we do in the booth is something called cold reading, which means that I don't get any time with the script. Like we go in and the script's there, you go. And so, I don't need to read through the script in its entirety. I just see my lines and the surrounding lines. So theater's it's great. It's just for anybody that's interested in becoming an actor, regardless of what kind of actor, I always highly recommend theater because it's so accessible. You can do it in school, you can do it in your community, and it's a great way to network. It's a great way to just even learn if acting is for you. You know, it's something you enjoy. But voiceover, I studied voiceover my freshman year of college because I was a theater major and I had to take classes that were, like there was a class I had to take that was specifically called Voice for the Actor. And it was part of the theater major, but I also, there's a wonderful book called, I believe it's called The Art of Voice Acting, and I've never been a very firm believer in learning acting kind of book, but it comes with a CD that kind of lets you, like, it shows you how to, like warm up your voice properly. It kind of shows you ways that you can kind of experiment with your voice safely without blowing my vocal cords. Vocal warm-ups, vocal techniques, diction exercises, and those types of exercises can be applied to any kind of acting, which is really, really great. And there's a whole section in the book dedicated to specifically everything voiceover. It's very short, but it is in the book, and it kind of gives you an idea. I did research. I asked my professors specific voice-related questions. I'm also a singer. For anybody in here that's a musician, vocal musician, that's also a great way to get to know your voice and to build vocal stamina, to train those muscles, and just to acknowledge your voice as an instrument, because that's what it is. So that's great too. But yeah, everything that I know about voice acting, I learned by doing, by getting exposure and actually being hired and being able to learn firsthand. So if you don't have any voice acting experience, don't let that discourage you if that's what you're trying to pursue, but definitely have acting experience in some capacity. Yeah. I know you.
As far as writing to responsibility, do you have any dream roles, either voice acting or stage, that you would love to play?
Well, if they ever reboot Sailor Moon and they decide to redub the whole thing or whatever, they want to use all new people, I would love to be a part of that. That was my gateway anime. So it'd kind of be like things going. I would either want to be, I would want to be Sailor Venus or Sailor Moon. It's probably Sailor Venus because she's always my favorite. I don't know why. And it's cool because one of my friends that I work with was like, oh my god, I really want to be Artemis. I'm like, that would be so cool. If that happened, that would be wonderful. In terms of stage, my dream role, I have two of them. I could die happy if I had these roles. If someone said, I will give you these roles, you can never act on stage again, I'd be like, done. I would love to be Christine in Phantom of the Opera. And yeah, especially now that I'm actually studying opera. I've been singing for a number of years, but I'm specifically studying opera now, and I'm just like, it's somewhat attainable now, yay. But also Lucy and Jekyll and Hyde, because that's one of my favorite musicals. It's so good. Oh God! Oh man! Oh, not today. No, it's fun because there's a karaoke place in Dallas called Family Karaoke. Yes. Yes, I love that place. It's so much fun. But they have the Phantom of the Opera, the song from Phantom of the Opera, and I'm like, I'm gonna hit those high notes, And then I'm just with friends, so if it ends up not working out, they won't judge me. But it's one of those things where she's considered, for those who are, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this terminology, but she's considered her range is considered coloratura, which is, it just specifies the range of notes that she can hit. That pretty little stratosphere where all those really high notes are, and I'm like, I can do that. It's soprano one, coloratura, and she's also what's called a soubrette, which just means that she has this light, for lack of a better term, youthful quality. Because you can hear some soprano ones that they can hit really high notes, but they have big girl voices. The very deep, or not deep, very rich, very mature sounding, and they can still hit those very high notes, but then the soubrette can hit the high notes, but then it's a songbird. Like it's very trilly and like high and wispy, and so, but still has strength behind it. And so when he told me that that's what I was like, sweet! Because I knew from like even in like high school and stuff, I was always put with soprano ones, but now all these like fancy Italian things, I'm like, oh, I'm special, okay, you know, maybe one day. But hitting the notes and being able to have the stamina and the what's the word I'm looking for? It's one thing to hit the notes, it's another thing to hit the notes and have it sound exactly how it needs to, you know, the technique, there we go. So that's definitely, that's why a lot of opera singers are like in their 40s, because it takes, and they're playing teenagers, because it takes that long to kind of build up the stamina. Sarah Brightman was kind of an exception, but she's so young when she played Christine. But that's sort of like, I'm like, hey, maybe when I'm 40 and can't do certain things anymore, you know, because, you know, like on stage or in film, because looks are everything, maybe I could go to opera, because by then, hopefully I'll build up the stamina and the technique I need. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, nothing professional. Well, I guess technically professional. I sing for Funimation on occasion. I've been a part of 3 shows where I've been able to sing because the characters sing songs in the actual anime. I've also done background vocals for some of Funimation's trailers, which has been really awesome because I go in there and like they don't really have any idea what they're looking for. They're like, here's the background track, let's collaborate on vocals, and which is really neat. I did the background vocals for both Eden and the East movies, for just the trailer, not the actual film. Because Funimation makes their own music for all of these virtual. They will either take music from the series and just take the lyrics out of it, or they will use a completely new track that they've created in-house, which is exciting. That we have that capability. But I did the background vocals for both Eden and the East movie trailers, and then the background vocals for the Funimation re-release trailer for Noir. That show was done by ADP, but Funimation got the rights recently and just released the box set. So all the voices are the same and everything, but they have their own Funimation trailer for it now. So I've done that. As I mentioned, I jumped back into formal voice lessons earlier this year because I'm starting to get more work at Funimation singing, and I thought I should probably like train again because it definitely is a muscle, and I definitely want to continue to grow and to continue getting better with it. And what better way than to have someone teach me? So I jumped back into formal voice lessons back in January, and then as of a couple months ago, my teacher is a tenor. He sings for the Fort Worth Opera. Oh my God, he opens his mouth and angels come out. Like he's like my height. He's shorter for a man. He's like 5'8", 5'9", and he's very still like, hey, my name's John, whatever. And then he sings, and you're like, oh my God. Like whenever he's giving me an example of something, I have to like brace myself because it's so loud and so amazing. And like I said, it's just angels come out. So it's incredible. And it's beautiful. And he's just, I've had other voice teachers in the past. I just hands down the best one I've had. And he's taught me so much in a short amount of time. And I approached him. We had a recital recently, and I approached him afterwards. He's like, all right, so now that these songs are out of the way, like, what do you want to work on now? And I said, would it be possible to work on opera, like Italian opera? Like, I want to do what you do. Because I went and saw him in opera, and it was just blown away. And I started to have a greater appreciation for opera in general. And his face just lit up. He was like, you want to sing Italian opera? I'm like, yeah, I've been singing musical theater songs my whole life. Can we do opera? He was like, yes. And so he like brought in this cool stuff, so I'm getting to sing in Italian. And it's really cool, yeah. It's definitely different. The good thing about singing in any foreign language is that since everything is drawn out, you have a little bit more time to process it. You know, it's different than having a conversation with somebody. And it's also strange too, though, because you kind of have to pronounce things differently when you're singing in a different language as opposed to when you're speaking that language, because you have to.
That just blows.
I know. Well, it's I'm trying to think. Well, yeah. Oh yeah, like in Japanese, like I can talk about Japanese too. Like oh gosh, that's a good example. I studied Japanese in college. Like sometimes when you have a word that was spelled out in English or romanji, if you have like 2 letters next to each other, like oh, what's a good word? Like datte. Like it's a D-A-T-T-E. You kind of have like a little datte. Like there's like a pause in there, but when you're singing, you kind of draw it out to because you can't like just break in the middle of the song. You can't just like go da. Like when you're singing, like it sounds strange. So in order to compensate for that, when they're singing, they just kind of like hold out the preceding letter instead, and then you're supposed to understand that that means a double consonant, if that makes sense. Like it's strange. And then in Italian, what I'm learning is that they roll their R's a lot, which is really fun. But you can't always get away with that when you're singing, like depending on how close the words are together, or you know, if it's a really high note up in the stratosphere, you're not always going to get to, you know. And it's so funny because not everybody can roll their tongue. Like he was telling me that he's teaching somebody right now that can't roll their R's, and they're singing in Italian. I'm like, how do you make up for that? It's like you just kind of make it a hard R instead of a. I think my favorite word that they've got me sing is vagheggiato. It's like, I don't know, it took me forever to learn how to say it because it's spelled really weird. So it's like vagheggiato. It means like, oh, fancy. You know, I'm like a linguist dork. Like anytime I get to say or sing something in another language, I geek out, so. Yes, yes.
I did 6 years of choir.
Oh, nice.
Especially when you go to a contest and sing, you have to have a lot of song. So having the teacher there, they were like, okay, now here are your new pronunciations for these combinations. And she would have it on the board the entire time that we went through the song. And we got to do it, you know, go through the line. And she would try to think,
Oh, that must be so hard with a group of people. And luckily, like with my teacher, like he's extremely mechanical. Or not mechanical. That sounds like he has no promotion. No, he's very like mechanical and like he's very picky and like wants everything to be perfect. He's kind of a perfectionist. Yes, technical. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm still making up. Well, he is also very mechanical because he wants to go through and like he's like, all right, the note's not coming out the way that I want it to. So what are you doing physically that's making that happen? And so you know, if you can be like, yeah, not bad, or like, yeah, that was good. That's about as good a compliment as you're gonna get. Like even if it's perfect, he'll never say, or he might go, yeah, you know, something like that. But he's really kept me on my toes with that too because he's technical enough to where I feel like I'm learning a lot, but not so much to where I'm like, oh, I can't do anything, I suck. You know, it's like that's why I'm in classes, it's to learn. But yeah, so.
and what makes it easier too is doing it as a song.
Yes.
So really you're learning to say this note with this sound.
And what is all this stupid? Yeah, and how do you compensate for
all songs about some years back.
right? Yeah. Someone will be like, what other languages do you speak? I'm like, well, physically, I guess I can include Italian, but I don't understand any of it. I'm just physically singing and speaking it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, have you seen the Japanese version of Sacred Star of Milos? And if so, how do you think the performance compares to that?
I saw some of the Japanese because we preview everything and record in Japanese first. So I'm well acquainted with Julia's Japanese voice just because I had to listen to it every time before I recorded mine. And it's Maya Sakamoto, isn't it, that does her voice?
Yeah.
I love Maya Sakamoto. She's like, I can't compare myself to her because I think she's amazing. I know she's everything, and she's got a beautiful singing voice too. Like it's one of those things where I respect her so much that anytime I'm even in a show where she's like sung the ending credits or something, I'm like, I'm in Maya Sakamoto show. You know, when I got to share a part with her, I thought that was really exciting too. That's kind of how I feel about Ga-Rei Mizuki as well. I was so excited that I got to for both vampires. I got to be Saya in Let's See, and then Moka and Rosario Vampire, which Ga-Rei Mizuki voices those parts as well. And so that was exciting. The movie comes out in October, and it's a gore. Well, they're both gore fests. That's why it's called Blood. And everyone's like, is it Blood C, like Blood letter C, or S-E-A? I'm like, well, it should be called Blood S-E-A because it's a constant bloodbath, but no, it's Blood C. So we're swimming in a sea of blood. That's the truth. No, but it's called Blood C because it's a clamp title, so the C stands for clamp. Yay, clamp. Pointing? Oh, did you read? write in our little audition book, like, do not audition for this character unless you can sing. And usually, like, it depends on the director. Like, for My Bride is a Mermaid, that was the first show for Funimation that I ever sang for, we had a completely separate audition. Like, they had people come in and audition for the parts, and chose one of the parts that sang. If you chose for one of the parts, if you read for one of the parts that sang, then they would narrow down, okay, we're guessing that since you auditioned for this part, that means you can sing. We'll narrow this down to like 5 people, and then they called those 5 people in for a separate singing audition where you got one of the songs that was used in the show, like 5 minutes before, and then they were like, okay, go. Like, whatever you have memorized of the song, go and sing. That's the only time that's ever happened. Like, for Rosario plus Vampire, they were just, maybe it's because they worked with me before, I don't know, but they just said, this character sings, don't audition for the show unless you can sing. And then they just kind of took my word for it, or maybe they listened to the My Bride is a Mermaid stuff, and were just like, all right, yeah, she can sing, go. And then I auditioned for another show that I didn't get, but they had me, actually, I think it was, Is This a Zombie? Might have been that show. They were having us just like sing things a cappella with our audition at the same time. So, but yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to put something on there, but make sure that, because you have such a limited amount of time on your character demo, like, make sure that your character voices are the focal point. If you have time, like, you can put something on there, but definitely don't put a lot of emphasis on that. CD would be best. Yeah, CD, and make sure you put it on your computer and make sure that it works. I don't know, I don't think this makes a difference, but most of the computers that we use in Funimation are Macs. So if you don't have a Mac, like, make sure that it works on a Mac. Yeah.
If I remember right, Funimation also
You can, but I can't guarantee that it will be listened to because their emails get backed up so much half the time. It's just a lot quicker to send them a physical copy because then it won't get lost in the email. It also kind of depends on who you send it to, but it's better to send it to Tara, our talent coordinator, because she's the one that will book you. So she's the one that you need to get to. But yeah, I mean, you can, but you have a better chance of it being listened to if you send in a physical copy. Yeah. Yes. Sure. Any we've got 5 minutes. Any last minute questions or 3 minutes? Any rapid fire questions? Something quirky about myself? Well, apparently me liking the horror movies comes as a shock to people. Just because I guess I don't come off that way. I'm a huge Disney fan. I don't know, that's not really quirky, but I'm addicted to Disney. Like, all the artwork in my room is like the Disney couture, like, artwork that came out, like when they had the princesses and the like, it's like Disney, but it's a little bit more mature. It's not so cartoony. I don't know, quirks. I think I'm just kind of a walking quirk. I'm kind of a, I don't know. Oh, don't ask me that! I'm so bad at the favorite questions. They're like, what's your #1 favorite? I'm like, can I say like 10 things? My 2 favorite, I love all the princesses. My 2 favorite princesses are Merida and Aurora. Recent Disney movies, I really like Brave. I really love Alice in Wonderland. I'm addicted to Alice in Wonderland. It's a little bit of a sickness. Oh my gosh. I love all of them. How do I say that? Oh, once a year I have tea parties